Let's see, did this thing go live? Hopefully it did. Let's see if that's working. Okay, looks like that's going good. Alright, so yeah, hello YouTube. This is a bit of a bonus stream because I wasn't actually going to stream this week at all, but I did want to get into a new Rust project for a couple of reasons. I'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, just to give a bit of an update. This is probably not going to be quite the same kind of stream or material that I usually do, because this is going to be a more relaxed stream where I'm just kind of messing around and not really doing a tutorial or going through anything, which is why I also haven't categorized this under education. This is more of like a more like lifey update kind of thing. So for those who are not in the loop, I recently did a game jam, or well, didn't just do a game jam. I actually was hosting the game jam. So that's what I was doing this past weekend. Hence, no stream on Sunday. So yeah, it was a 48-hour jam. It was pretty fun, and since I figured I'm in the game development mood. I just did a whole bunch of game development, so I might as well finally dig into Bevy, the Rust game engine, since that's something I've been wanting to do for a while, but I just never got around to. And it gives me an excuse to actually play around with Rust. So yeah, I'm doing it now because I honestly just don't have a ton of time to, squeeze in a bit of streaming or Rust programming. Honestly, like I have another Rust meetup coming up this Wednesday, so gotta host that, and then I don't know what's gonna happen next month. I don't exactly have a plan yet. Probably gonna be talking with a co-organizer to try and work that out, but yeah. I mean, it felt like a good time to do this. It might give me some material or some ideas for what I could do next month if it comes down to me doing another presentation or talking about something else Rust related. I don't know. We will see. We will see. So yeah, as you can see, I've already started downloading Bevy here. Just doing the old cargo build. Just started the project up. Kind of wanted to, do a bit of chatting while this thing builds, just to kind of get that going in parallel. But yeah, I guess I could talk a bit about my game jam experience, because it's probably at least interesting to, I don't know, maybe one or two people. So I did a game jam again. Uh-oh, that's not good. That's not good. Well, so much for that, huh? Why is that? You hope things just kind of work. You really do, but then sometimes stuff hits the fan. Build failed. Weird. So this is a fresh Rust install. I literally just installed Rust stuff. I literally just configured the the environment variable to put Rust on the path, etc. So like this is not really what I was expecting. Really isn't what I was expecting. I was kind of hoping that this would just work and then afterwards we could just get rolling here, but maybe this will be more debugging and configuration stuff. Which, by the way, is what I basically spent my entire day doing, since I do work a full-time job, and today was mostly just like messing around with Kerberos, and that's always fun. Configuration's always fun. It's always it's always very painful. shall we say. So I'm not, no, I wasn't really expecting this, but looks like that's what we're dealing with today. God, why is this stuck? What is happening? Hello? Alright. I guess this thing might be, oh, nope, nope, never mind. It's not hanging. It just, yeah, it was just waiting for the other jobs to finish before it actually just died. Okay, I'm wondering if I need nightly for this. Let me read about Bevy because I don't actually know much about Bevy. All I know is that compared to Amethyst, so if you don't know, I have played with Amethyst before. I've done several like videos where I was just sitting around writing code in Amethyst and creating a little game in Amethyst, or like trying to create a game in Amethyst. And if you don't know, yeah, I've even tried to do a game jam before using Amethyst, and one of the things that I didn't really like about it was the compile times, definitely. So Bevy seems pretty cool. There's been a lot of hype around it lately. It's relatively new. I think people are saying that its ECS is faster or whatever. I mean, that's cool. I'm definitely more interested in this line here, where they say that they're productive. Change should compile quickly. Waiting isn't fun. Sure isn't, especially during a game jam, right? So yeah, let's see if we can't live debug this. Oh boy, what a great way to end the day. Stability warning, prototyping phase. Important features are missing. APIs will be changing constantly. Finish off, pick an engine for your next big project. We are going to check out the Godot engine. I'm not. I just wanted to play around with Bevy. Interesting that they're plugging a different engine right now, though. That's nice of them. This official book is still very incomplete. It will help you get started with the setup and learning the basics. It does not cover most of Bevy's features. Okay. This session will help you get started on your Bevy journey as quickly as possible. It will walk you through setting up your environment. Okay. This is telling me to clone the Bevy repo and run an example. I don't really want to do that. I mean, we could, but I've already played with one of their examples on their site anyway, so I'm not really interested in that. Bevy is available as a library on craze.io. Yeah, I know that. Okay. Yeah, alright. Okay, yeah, this is definitely not stuff that you typically would do. Okay, so I did add Bevy as a dependency. I did do that. Is there anything that I need to know other than add Bevy as a dependency? Small amount of setup first. Okay, installing Rust. Yeah, I have Rust, of course. Like, duh. Install OS dependencies. Oh, maybe. So I'm using WSL, as I tend to do for these streams and whatnot. It looks like I'm gonna have to do this. Huh. I'm on Ubuntu, so this is fine. After staring at like a black screen for a while, like this Bevy page, switching to this like the light theme here on GitHub is just like it's always that like that sudden change always gets me. So before I just blindly copy and paste this into the terminal, let me read what they're actually saying. Dependencies required to build, blah blah blah. Sudo apt get install g++, package config, libx11 dev, libasound2 dev, libudev -dev. Okay. Depending on your graphics card, you may have to install one of the following. Ooh, okay. Oh, and there's also a WSL. What? What? Graphics and audio need to configure for them to work with WSL2 backend. Okay, well, I've apparently signed myself up for the hard mode version of everything. There's Nix. I bet it's a lot nicer on Nix, but anyway. I mean, at least when I try to install Idris, it's like way nicer when I'm using Nix. It's like so easy. Alright, let's try this and see what happens. Right. To type in my password. Wait, what? Well, hold on. Okay. It's a different one. Different password from the one I was thinking. Right, this is the other user. Oh, I should have just dash wide that. What am I doing? Anyway. So I guess we'll just let this. Okay, we've got to do an get update, I guess. Okay, maybe not. Maybe that's not going to work either. Permission denied. I've already been dealing with issues like this like all day. Do I really want to do this too today? Do I really? Do I actually? I guess I am. Let's. I guess we're Googling. I hate this. Did I have to sudo? Did that? Probably that's what I'm missing. Yeah, there we go. Switch user do. Okay, I guess while this thing's going, I'll talk a bit about my game jam. So, it's a relatively small game jam. We had like 8 people, I think, 9 people participating, and yeah, 48 hours, just like the Ludum Dare one I did. I kind of modeled the game jam after the Ludum Dare one for the most part, so a lot of the rules were basically the same. And yeah, this time instead of using Rust, since I was actually partnered up with someone, I decided to go with Unity. Like that's what everybody went with. You know, Unity's pretty easy to pick up. It's like the game development for babies option. No, I'm just joking. It's definitely a very productive game engine, I would say, because it's just so easy to get up and started with it. So yeah, that's that went pretty well. Obviously, compared to how I've been doing things with Rust, with Amethyst. I actually got a game like finished. I mean, it wasn't like the most polished thing in the world, but at least it was actually like a real game. So yeah, I definitely felt like I was a lot more productive in Unity, and I don't know. It was just nice to be able to actually have like a complete product after a game jam. So that was nice. I actually enjoyed that quite a lot, and yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I definitely think part of it is the fact that I actually had a partner, I had someone to work with. But yeah, the other half definitely is it's a lot easier to get going with Unity. So my hope is that build times are not going to be very bad with Bevy. I know Amethyst sometimes it took like I don't know like over a minute or two to just build the project, like build a game, and like during a game jam that's pretty nasty. It's definitely enough time to allow you to kind of get distracted and kind of forget what you're doing, and then come back and be like, oh crap, what am I doing? Why didn't I do that? Like, why didn't I get started again? So I definitely feel like if I get a good impression from Bevy, maybe I'll try another game jam, but with Bevy instead. I don't know. We'll see. What else? The theme. So we actually it was a work game jam. I think I mentioned this in my last stream with Adam. And everybody had a chance to submit a theme. So we opened up I guess not a poll. We opened up like a Google form and we collected a bunch of responses to see like you know what okay, let's try the cargo build again. Hopefully it doesn't explode this time. I really hope it doesn't. I'm not even gonna try stuff with sound or whatever today probably. So well, actually I don't know. It depends on what the tutorial brings me through. Um, but anyway, the theme, we got a list of themes from people in the company who submitted stuff, and we ended up with around like 10 themes. So yeah, I just ran the my little script, the one I wrote in Rust a while back, and use that to pick a topic, and we ended up with the topic of rain. So we made games based around rain, and my team, we basically thought, okay, well, what do you think of when you think of rain? And we both kind of were thinking bullet hell. So we ended up making a. Well, actually, my partner had the idea of doing like a reverse bullet hell, where you actually have to like collect the bullets instead of dodging them, and I thought that was a pretty fun and silly idea. So that's what we did. We decided to make a game where you play as a flower, and you kind of like wander about on the canvas and try and collect um, as many raindrops that are falling down as possible. And the raindrops fall in like different little patterns and stuff like that, kind of a little bit like a bullet hell. But we didn't really go into like real bullet hell territory because we didn't like discover object pooling until like halfway through the jam or something like that. It took a while before we realized that you'd have to start pooling your game objects and stuff to get better performance instead of having to create and destroy bullets all the time. And we didn't also we also didn't shrink the player hitbox or anything like that to make it like like any other bullet hell where you have like the tiny little hitbox, even though the character sprite is bigger, that sort of thing. So we had like a our character was basically the same size as like all the bullets and everything that was coming at them. We added some enemies too, like enemies that shoot poisonous raindrops at you for some reason. They're like enemy flowers. They're the evil flowers. Yeah, it was a fun little idea. It has like 3 levels to it, so you can like survive for 2 minutes, collecting as many raindrops as you can, and then it brings you to the next level. And it's like a little bit harder, where there's like more enemies that spawn in. The way we did difficulty was a little bit lazy. We just kind of spawned more enemies in, or at least I was just like, yeah, I'll just add more enemy spawners and call it a day. So yeah, it's surprisingly fun for the tiny little game that it is, and we haven't gotten we haven't done all like the voting and judging and everything yet, so that'll be interesting when that happens. Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what people think, and yeah, it just feels really good to have a complete and working project. It's not a thing that happens very often for me, because I tend to get bored. I just like start a project, you know, and like I'm super into it when I start. I'm just like, oh yeah, like I'm learning stuff, and learning is fun for me. If it's especially if it's stuff that's challenging and stuff that's new and stuff that I'm really interested in learning, like how to do, then for me it's I can get like really like laser focused on something when when it involves learning new things. But then once I've learned everything that there's to learn to like build like a real project, I kind of tend to get a little bit, I guess, complacent, and I just like, yeah, I don't know, like I already know it, and there's nothing really new to learn. So like when I was playing with Unity, it's like, well, I've already done like a bunch of Unity stuff. For me, it's a lot harder to get into it. But when you add the time pressure of being in a game jam, then I can actually like, I can put I can put my foot on the pedal and actually get going. I can re-achieve that laser focus. It's just I just need the extra time pressure. But yeah, I knew that I was going to be able to make a fully functioning game in Unity. But now I actually finally have the proof that I can do that in like 48 hours. So I'm glad I got to do it, even if I only ended up using Unity. Like, if I had been a bit more daring and maybe worked with someone who was a little bit more familiar with Rust, then maybe I would have tried Bevy. I don't know, but then I wouldn't have had any experience in it. I probably would have had to sit through all this. So may not have been the best choice if I had to do that. If I decided to do that. Um, all right, I was going to talk about reasons why I'm even working on a Bevy project. So, or sorry, Bevy project, a Rust project right now. So yeah, Rust. I haven't really done a lot of Rust on the channel lately, and I know that there are some people who did originally subscribe to this channel back when I was doing Rust content. I don't really know how much they're looking for me to do like Rust stuff necessarily, but I don't know. I felt like doing more Rust. Felt like it was about time. I mean, I do run the Vancouver Rust meetups. I probably should be doing more stuff with Rust. Would be a good idea. And I'm generally pretty comfortable with the language, and it's kind of my go-to for most most scripts and applications that I write. If I get a choice, right? Obviously, if I don't, then I just use what I have to use. But I'm most comfortable writing Rust now, which is kind of crazy to think about, considering how much I struggled with it at the beginning, like getting out of the OO mindset and learning how to use like generics and then learning about question mark boxing, object safety, like lifetimes, like all these things are just they're like you have to understand like all these things, ownership, right, in order to actually be productive in the language. Traits, because traits work like type classes more or less, not quite like interfaces. And yeah, like when you're just starting, you don't know any of that stuff, and you're trying to write an application. Like you're bound to run into like at least some one issue stemming from like one of those like 5 or 6 different things. Like it's just yeah, it's just nasty. But then once you kind of get used to things and you understand all the different issues you can run into and how to like avoid them, or how to structure your code so that you don't have to deal with those problems, it becomes a lot easier. Except for when you have to deal with an API that's like using lifetimes really heavily and stuff, and you kind of have to, you kind of can't really ignore them. Like I generally try to avoid storing references to stuff if I can, you know, so I don't have to deal with lifetime annotations leaking all over the code base and stuff. But yeah, like I genuinely think Rust is the language I'm most familiar with and most comfortable with now, and it would be nice to have more material for the Rust meetups, and just to, and maybe this will inspire me. I'm really hoping for that. But yeah, not a whole lot else to not a whole lot else to my motivations behind this, other than hopefully it'll be a fun little project. Maybe I'll learn a bit and yeah, maybe get inspired. This is taking longer than I thought. I'm running out of stuff to talk about already. Come on, I didn't start this stream just so I could sit here and do nothing. That's not what I was interested in doing today. What else? What else? I guess I can talk a bit about the Haskell stuff that I've been doing with Adam. That stuff's been pretty fun. Definitely looking forward to doing a bit more of working on that project a bit more and getting the unit testing going with that. Generally, I don't tend to prepare too much for those streams, because if everything's pre-prepared, it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of sucks. But at the same time, I do feel like I have to prepare a little bit, so because we have to, we kind of have to get going with the project. I can't just like spin my tires all day. Although I'm always happy to slow down and answer questions, because Adam is he's a really cool guy. He's an awesome guy. I like him. He's my friend. He's awesome, but he's also a beginner, and so I have to sometimes he has questions, and it's perfectly normal. Learning functional programming isn't really that easy, and I like to slow down and try and help him out. Get him up to speed, and And yeah. As for the actual, the actual book that I've been going through, like I don't think, yeah, I don't think I've made a ton of progress with it lately. Obviously, running the game jam and everything takes time. I haven't really spent that much time actually reading though. Like I've read like 2 pages, um, I think, since the last time I streamed. So yeah, not a huge amount of progress, but I really really do want to finish that book. I think there's a lot of useful and interesting stuff in there. Useful and interesting ideas, especially around stuff like testing. Like I know they don't, or at least I don't think they talk about unit testing. I know that they do talk about property based testing. I did remember seeing a section for that in like the table of contents, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, definitely want to finish that at some point. What else have I been up to? I think, yeah, but mostly been following Kind's developments on Telegram. Uh, yeah, some interesting stuff happening there. I think Victor Maya, the creator of Kind, posted an interesting little post recently. I don't know what to really call it. It's just like like. Well, I don't want to say readme. It's just like it's almost like a blog post, except it's just in a markdown file, just sitting on a Git repo. Which I guess most blog posts are just markdown files sitting on a repo. If you're using like GitHub pages with like Jekyll or something. So yeah, I guess you could say it's like a blog post. It was about I think it was about like this like smart constructor thing. It was a bit more, yeah. It was about like self types and like kind of the cool things you can do with it. And he's talking about this like smart constructor technique you can use with it, which is pretty similar to the concept of smart constructors in Haskell, except I think his idea has a little bit more flexibility because of self types, and you can do some kind of interesting things like defining. I think it was integers. Yeah, it was like defining integers uh, inductively, except the way that you do it is a lot more elegant than how you might do it in, say, Agda or some other dependently typed language, where it's just like the subtraction of like one number from the other. Except the problem with that representation is you start getting duplicates. Like if you store a pair 2 0 and you store a pair 4 2, like 2 minus 0 is 2, 4 minus 2 is also 2. So if you try to represent an integer as a pair of numbers, right, then you kind of run into issues where it's like, well, technically 2 0 and 4 2 are the same number, right? Like the difference between 2 and 0 and 4 and 2 is the same. It's just 2. But if you're trying to work with this in a proof, it's not really, they're not really the same number anymore, right? Like it's a different pair of numbers. So like how do you work with that? And so he uses this little smart constructor technique with self types to do basically, I guess, sort of normalize. I guess not really the right term here, I guess, but he sort of turns like the 4 2 pair into a 2 0. So that way you don't run into those kinds of issues, and that happens kind of like on construction, which is pretty neat. It's a cool technique. Definitely can see some uses for that. I thought about like how could you apply that to maybe like bit strings, because I know one of the annoying things about trying to prove theorems about bit strings is usually like your bit string data type is going to be inductively defined as like a nil or a 0 or like a 1, right? And like one of the problems there is if you have 0 0 1 and you have another bit string which is just 1 without any leading zeros, they're not actually the same, even though like if you think of them as like numbers and you want to do math, you want to do like if you're trying to prove that like multiplication is working properly or like behaves the same as like natural number multiplication, right? Like you have to remember that 0 0 1 is not the same as 1, so you have to do some kind of normalization to like chop off the leading zeros. in order to, you know, be able to compare the two and say they are equal, right? Like they're not actually considered equal until you do that normalization. So this smart constructor technique could work with that, from what I gather, at least from when I asked Victor about this. It sounds like it could work, but then it'd be more like a binary int type, is what he said. Or like, you know, it wouldn't really be a bit string anymore if you just always chopped off the leading zeros. And I think I get where he's coming from with that. Like, you know, bit strings are probably used in a lot of different contexts, not just for adding and subtracting and multiplying and stuff like that, right? Like, you might want those leading zeros. They might actually be kind of important. So being able to distinguish between a bit string with leading zeros and one without is kind of important sometimes. So it's kind of unfortunate that you can't really do that for bit strings, but maybe you could still get something useful out of the smart constructors if you're trying to define like just a bit string as a number, like a binary int, like he was talking about, or whatever. I don't know. Seems kind of cool. I think in that post he also talked a bit about some other techniques. Right, there was some paper he mentioned, and it was, yeah, it had this cool syntax for like simpler indexed types. Oh, that was pretty neat. That was that syntax definitely is a lot easier to reason with. Like, all you have to know is pattern matching when you're defining your data types. It's really cool. Maybe I should just like show this paper that I keep talking about. It's not a paper. It's just a blog post. What was it, like uwu kind? Yeah. Actually, I can just go directly to it. I think uwu tag/kind. Sorry, Russ is being slow. This is now a kind stream. I'm just kidding. I think it's under here, under blog. Yeah, I guess it is a blog. Beyond inductive data types. Yeah, this is really cool. There's some really cool stuff here. I don't know how approachable this is to people who aren't familiar with dependent types or like proof assistance or anything like that. But I don't know. I thought this was really cool. Yeah, these different possibilities talk about like different techniques and different ways to use self types to do some cool stuff. There's also this like higher inductive types thing, where it's like it almost works, but it also doesn't really. So there are a couple of open questions in this post, right? Like, if you have any clue on how that could be done, please let me know. Same with like intervals and paths. Trying to like encode interval types from like cubical type theory. Not really possible right now. Yeah, I can't prove trans p, even though it is true. Open question is to find a simple way to extend kind's core language to allow trans p to be proved internally. So there you have it. If you're interested in, you know, pushing the frontier and the boundaries of type theory and, you know, kind and whatnot, then this is here are some open questions. Definitely seems really cool though. This language, I really like the syntax of this language, and I know syntax is like such a, I don't know, sort of shallow thing to care about, because usually I'm okay with whatever language as long as the syntax isn't like egregiously bad and terrible to use or like figure out. Like, I'm okay with switching between all sorts of different languages with different syntaxes, but like, I don't really know how to describe like what I would consider like really bad. I guess something like brain fuck or whatever. I don't know if I would be able to read that, but yeah, generally I like how kind tries to stick to a somewhat I guess JavaScripty syntax. It's very reminiscent of JavaScript, and I think he usually uses like the JavaScript syntax highlighting for his kind code, and it seems to work pretty well. So yeah, the syntax feels very beginner friendly. Like I feel like he has the right idea. It's because so like here's the thing: I show people snippets of Haskell, right, and it's like really really simple Haskell stuff, and people just like immediately don't even they won't even give it like a chance. They won't even like really read it or try to figure it out. They're just like, nope, I can't read that. That's terrible and confusing, and I would never try and figure that out. But if I like feed them a snippet of kind, they're actually willing to read it to a point where they can actually say like, yeah, I understand what this does, and it can be something really really simple like a hello world type program where it's just like reads an input and you know asks for like a user's name and then like print something out, and people will just like balk at the Haskell one, but you know, they look at the kind one and they're like, yeah, that's totally fine. So like I don't know, like that at least that is my experience with people like actually in industry who I've shown some of this stuff to. They actually just look at kind and they're like, yeah, that's pretty readable. It actually looks a lot like JavaScript or you know some other C style syntax language. So all right, that's enough. That's enough talking about kind. We're finally done. Amazing. How long did that take? Did that take like an hour? I don't know. I've been sitting here chatting for like a while now, I feel. And now we can finally get started. Yeah. So, yeah, we're already on the setup page. Finally. Um, code editor / IDE. I don't really care. I'm not going to use any editor or IDE. I'm just going to use Vim. Okay, Vim is an editor. Whatever. You know what I mean. Rust learning resources. The goal of this book is to learn Bevy, so I won't serve as a full Rust education. Yeah, I don't care. Create a new Bevy project. We are now ready to set up a Bevy project. Bevy is just a normal Rust dependency. It's a normal Rust dependency, except it requires some other dependencies for your OS. Alright. Yeah, I created Bevy test. That's what I called it. You should be able to cargo run this. Actually, I haven't cargo run my Hello World yet. Let's do that. Yay, it worked. Cargo.toml, yeah, I already did that. This is fine. Enable fast compiles, optional. Can be built just fine using default configuration with stable Rust. However, for maximally fast iterative compiles, we recommend the following configuration. Enable Bevy's dynamic linking feature. This is the biggest iterative compilation time win. It requires no special setup. When you have Bevy as a dependency, you can run your app with dynamic linking like this. Really? Okay. I'm tempted to just do that right now. Go run -- features Bevy / dynamic. Oh, it does have to download another crate, but I guess for this first run it'll be a bit slower, but every run afterwards should be faster. I hope. Alright, we'll just let that sit for a bit. LLD linker. I'm not going to do the rest of these. The Rust compiler spends a lot of time in the link step. LLD is much faster at linking than the default Rust linker. To install LLD. Yeah, I'm going to pass on that for now. Nightly Rust compiler. Nope. I'm not switching tool chains. I don't feel like it. Generic sharing. Let's create to share monomorphized generic code instead of duplicating it. Oh, okay. In some cases, this allows us to pre-compile generic code so it doesn't affect iterative compiles. This is only available nightly. Interesting. That's cool. To enable fast compiles, install the nightly Rust compiler in LLD. I thought that this also enabled fast compiles. What do they mean by to enable fast compiles? Do I have to install nightly just to benefit from even doing this dynamic linking stuff? on. Of course, this is going to be slow. Of course. Of course, the thing that enables builds to be faster is slow to build itself. Very cool. Very cool. I mean, it's a one-time cost, so I'm not going to complain. I'll just let it do its thing. Something went wrong, check our troubleshooting section or ask for help on our Discord. Yeah, if I start running into issues when I try to run this again, I might just not. I might just cargo run instead. Start building, it'll take some time, as you are essentially building an engine from scratch. You don't have to do a full rebuild once. A rebuild after this one will be fast. Yep. That's generally how these things work. So, okay. I'm going to try and make a Bevy app. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, it's done. So if I run this a second time, is it going to be super duper fast? Yeah, look at that. Look at that. See, 2.55 seconds, and now it's 0.74 seconds. Amazing. Actually, I don't know if that's a fair comparison. I don't know what other factors there might be right now, but whatever. Okay, so we need to use Bevy's Prelude. Do you pronounce this word as prelude or prelude? Because I know that there's like two different pronunciations, and apparently both are correct. And sometimes I find myself switching between one or the other because I just can't decide on which one I want to use. But I see that word so much because of, you know, like Haskell and I guess other languages with, you know, prelude libraries. Apparently it comes from like a French word, so it's supposed to be pronounced prelude in French. So like I know some people insist that that's the right way, that's the only right way to say it, but you know, other people are like, nah. If you Google, it says that both are correct, so I don't know. Why do I think about these kinds of things? Heck if I know. Nice and simple. It does seem pretty simple. Nothing happens. Yeah. Oh. Let's just watch this nothing happens. If I get my terminal. Cargo run. I already forgot the fast one. How do you do the fast one? I've got all these commands for from the Haskell stuff I did, but I don't remember how to do the fast build. Maybe I'll do it once so that I have it in my history, and that way I don't have to worry about doing that ever again. Features Bevy / dynamic. Okay. See, if I eventually commit this to memory, then if I make other games with Bevy, then I'll remember. I won't have to look it up. Don't do this. Don't be slow. Don't do this. Okay. Yay, it did nothing, just like they said. Good. So that's some logic. Okay. How long am I gonna stream today? I guess I'll stream for maybe another hour. Maybe till like 10:30-ish. Maybe less than that. All app logic in Bevy uses the entity component system paradigm, which is often shortened to ECS. ECS is a software pattern. Yeah, I know. I've seen this a lot. The Rust community is all about ECS. At least the Rust game dev community. There are like so many ECSs, and I don't know. I've seen so many posts over the years about like different entity component systems. Like at first it was like Specs, right? Or there were a few others before Specs even, but like Specs was kind of like the big amazing ECS in Rust, and it's like, yeah, everybody should use Specs. Specs is great. It's amazing. It's fast. And then eventually they kind of I think people just kind of decided that, man, no, Specs is kind of actually hard to use. It's kind of bad. and then I think they made like Legion and stuff, and then now Bevy has its own ECS. And I saw another ECS recently too that was like a safe ECS that only has 4 uses of unsafe in it, compared to like the tons of other uses of unsafe in other ECS libraries. So yeah, that was there's been a lot of entity component systems made for Rust, and it's crazy how much people love their entity component systems. One entity might have a position and velocity component, whereas another entity might have a position and UI component. Yeah. Systems are logic. There was a set of component types. Okay. ECS pattern contains clean, decoupled designs by forcing you to break up your app data and logic into core components. Yes, the typical. Here is why ECS is the best and why you should use ECS. I know some game devs don't like ECS, but that's beside the point. We're using Bevy, and Bevy wants us to use the ECS, so we're using the ECS. ECS. Normal Rust data types for all these concepts. Okay. They're not even using traits? Really? That's real interesting. So, just plain old algebraic data types. So components are just structs. Systems are functions. Well, I mean, that's kind of generally how they are implemented anyway. Entities contain a unique integer. Yeah, okay. I've seen this design in Amethyst, which runs on specs, or at least used to run on specs. I don't know what Amethyst uses anymore. I remember they were talking about moving away from specs at one point. Okay. So hello world is now just going to be a separate function. Got it. Oh yeah, I can't do that. I can't just paste into here. Of course, no. Of course, it can't be that simple. Yeah, yeah. I know how to use WSL and Vim. Yeah, that's a thing I do. Yeah, I totally totally do that all the time. I'm good at that. Alright, I'll just type out hello world. There. Only remaining steps to add it to our app. Okay. That is actually kind of simple. You just, yeah, this is pretty cool so far. I like it. I like what I see so far. So you just call .system on a function. So I guess that, how does that work? I guess they must have implemented the system method for all function types. Maybe they, yeah, I don't know what they did. Maybe they just implemented it for all function pointers. I'm not sure. That's interesting. It's a trait extension method. Yeah. That's what I figured. The add system function adds the system to your app schedule. We'll cover that more later. Run your app again using cargo run. Okay. But I didn't have to use Bevy to make it say hello world. Okay, well, it doesn't say hello world. Oops. Okay, I need to get out of typing mode. Add system. Wait, did I really? Oh god, Look, I'm tired. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. Apparently, I don't even know what I'm typing anymore. That's my terrible excuse. I wonder how fast we're gonna be able to get a game up and going, just like a really simple one. If it's pretty fast, then yeah, I might actually consider making a game with Bevy. Could be fun. Could be really fun. All right, we've got a Hello World. Heck yeah, let's go. What if we want to greet specific people? In ECS, you would generally model people as entities. Person component. Add the struct to main. Okay. I appreciate that this tutorial is all written up and everything's ready to go. Like, when I first picked up Amethyst, like, what, 3 or 4 years ago at this point, right? Like, it was just like the book was just like, pardon the sawdust. They just didn't really have anything. It was just like not complete at all. And at this point in Bevy's life, having documentation like this already is kind of amazing. I'm very, very grateful for that. Like, the State of Rust's ecosystem is so much better than it was a few years ago. It's insane how quickly it's grown. But what if we want our people to have a name? We might just tack on a name field. Yeah, that's what I was about to do. But other entities might have names too. Okay, yeah, so we want to break things up into composable, small pieces of composable, reusable components. Got it. So I'm just going to use a new type for string called name. The tuple struct. Add people to our world. Okay. Using a startup system. Startup systems are just like normal systems, but they run exactly once before all other systems and right when our app starts. Okay, interesting. Yeah, imagine like trying to figure out how a game engine works by looking through the source code and trying to basically like reverse engineer everything. That's what it was like several years ago when I was playing around with Amethyst, okay? That's how it was like trying to use Amethyst. You had to like look through their source code, reverse engineer it to figure out what each thing did, and then work from there to try and make a game. Like, this is so much better. This is already so much better. I mean, that's not a normal experience for most people. I mean, if you're like a Unity developer, you're probably like, wow, that sounds terrible. Like, why would you ever have to do anything like that? But, Rust was very new at the time. Amethyst was very new at the time. So, y'all take stuff for granted. So, we're gonna use commands to spawn some entities into our world. Okay. Alright, I guess we'll try this. I think we're gonna have to define that as a separate function, so that's what I'm gonna do. Commands. I wonder what that is. I guess that's just an alias for like a vector of commands or something. That's my best guess. Oops, that's not how you do that. That's also not how you do that. Sure, we'll just do that. Insert person. Insert sounds like a map or something. Map API. To string, of course, because we want to own that string. We can't just use a string literal like that. If you want to take ownership of the string, then you gotta toString commands.spawn. Okay, so commands will spawn an entity. insert a person component, and then insert a name component to it. Okay, so we don't have to add the name struct to the person struct ever. Okay, that makes sense. So everything is composable using insert. That's kind of neat. It's simple enough to follow so far. This is very good. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Alright, now we've got Zena Nieves? I don't know. Don't ask me to pronounce names. People know already, like, at the Rust meetups, they're like... They know I butcher names, and I always forget after I've learned the name, too. Like, a month passes, it's time for the next meetup. I screw up that person's name again. Yeah, I'm just terrible with names. Now we're just gonna start up a system like this. Okay, let's do that. This is the problem with boosting the text size. I know that it makes it easier to read the code, but like it makes it harder for me to see stuff behind the window. So we're gonna add startup system. Okay, so we're leaving our old system in there. We're just adding a startup system called which takes the add people function and turns it into a system. Makes sense. Add people and turn it into a system. Oh wait, it has to be a startup system. Add startup system. Alright. Is that correct? We could run the app now and the add people system would run first, but our new world our new people don't have anything to do yet. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like you'd create a bunch of entities, but we wouldn't really see anything unless there's like some logging that I don't know about. There could be. Let's make a system that properly greets the new citizens of our world. Okay. Right, we want to create a new system, which is just a function, of course. Okay. So we've got greet people. How about can we scroll this down a bit? There we go. Greet people. And that takes a query. Okay. Greet people takes a query with person. I'm guessing this is kind of like a database query because I know that's how Amethyst's ECS works, especially with like its joins, like the way that you joined. Was it like components or whatever? It was like it was basically just an inner join. So I'm expecting that this will be somewhat similar. So this is going to query for people with names, I guess. Or we're trying to get names, or like we're trying to get entities that have the name component and the person component is how I'm reading this. I don't actually know if that's true, but it'll probably explain it in the next paragraph, so I should just shut up. Alright, new.0. New.0 is the tuple struct syntax for accessing the first field of the tuple struct. If there was more than one field on name, then we'd have to... If there are two fields, then we'd use one to access the next one, and two, and so on, depending on how many fields there are. But there's only one field, so we use 0. Why am I explaining this? I don't know. I mean, the Rust book does a good job of that already. I'm sure that it's explained in plenty of other Rust tutorials. So if you're interested in this stuff and you probably already know Rust, then that's probably not helping you. I don't know why. I just feel like explaining things. Parameters we pass into a system function to find what data the system runs on. In this case, greet people will run on all entities with the person and name component. Yep, that's what I thought. So now we just need to add this as a system. For entities that also have a person component. Okay, so like name is like the primary component, is what that's how I see this. Yeah, because it says for name in query.iter. Interesting. Okay. Well, that makes sense. And yeah, it is very, very similar to how databases work with database queries. So I am perfectly a-okay with this. I am used to this. So they added another system, and I'm guessing it's just greet people. And they don't pass in anything. It's just, yeah, greet people.system. Cool. And then we can actually run our app. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So this is all this is doing is just printing stuff to the console, but already that's it seems pretty simple. This is very nice, and I like the API I'm seeing so far. Definitely a lot simpler than the code examples from Amethyst, in my opinion. Or at least that was, I'm talking about Amethyst back then, back when I was using Amethyst. I haven't touched Amethyst in a little while. Like, when's the last time I even did a game jam? I think it was like 2 years ago. So like, I'm sure a lot of stuff has changed. Maybe Amethyst isn't quite as difficult to use as it used to be. I mean, now they have Bevy as competition, so you know. I don't want to say too much bad stuff about Amethyst because I really don't know much about it right now. Hello World might show up in a different order than it does above. Systems run in parallel by default whenever possible. Oh, cool. That's interesting. But I'm sure like the names probably run in the same order. Maybe it's just these, like the Hello World might come after. I don't know. Yeah, no, systems are run in parallel. Yeah, not there's no parallelism in like within a system, as far as I can tell. Okay, plugins. One of Bevy's core principles is modularity. All Bevy engine features are implemented as plugins. This includes internal features like the renderer, but games themselves are also implemented as plugins. Huh. This empowers developers to pick and choose which features they want. Don't need a UI, don't register a UI plugin. Okay. Plugins are very familiar. I think they also did the plugin thing in Amethyst, if I remember correctly. I distinctly remember this like terminology of plugins in Amethyst. So come to think of it, this is actually starting to look a little bit like Amethyst's API for the app.build stuff. So maybe it's not that different after all. Yeah, the initial examples made it look very simple, but now we're adding plugins and stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure it's going to be quite as simple as I thought. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you need the extra complexity because you need more control. If you place any components you don't like, if you feel the need, you're welcome to build your own UI plugin. Consider contributing it back to Bevy. I think it would be useful. Nice. Don't need a custom experience and just want the full engine experience with no hassle. The default Bevy plugins. Add plugins, default plugins. Adds the features most people expect from an engine, such as a 2D or 3D renderer, asset loading, UI system. Oh wow! What? That's okay. I don't remember there being a default plugins thing you could just install into Amethyst. I think you did have to handpick everything that you needed. This is pretty cool. If you're just I don't care, just get me going. This seems pretty cool. All right, I'm down. I'm down for this. This actually sounds pretty cool. Default plugins. Of course, we're just using a star import, so we're just getting everything from the prelude. So we don't have to fiddle with our use statement at all. So it seems like the tutorial is built with that in mind, even though I generally try to avoid just doing blanket star imports. Something to note. It does make going through the tutorial easier and with less jumping back and forth. So I understand. All right, now we need to cargo run. Sounds good. I am a-okay with that. are we gonna... A window should pop up, it says. You know, a window plugin. Is that so? No device. Yeah. Okay. Ah. Right. That's a problem. The console's now full of hello messages. This adds an event loop. Oh. Well, I guess this brings us to the WSL part, huh? Alright, this is third-party documentation now, so we're going into the weeds. Here we go. I don't look forward to this. I'm actually getting kind of sleepy. I might end stream soon. I've been chatting for a while. I'm pretty good. I mean, I like what I see so far, but I'm tired. I'm really tired. We'll try and debug this. We'll give this a shot and see if we can't get the window to show up at least. All right, let me actually read instead of just scrolling around like a ditz. Windows subsystem for Linux allows users to run the Linux terminal environment, install functions from the Ubuntu archive, run Linux applications, workflows, WSL1. I don't really care about what that is because I'm on WSL2. Hyper-V to provide better Linux application support, improve file performance. WSL2 seamless. Yeah, I've already done that. Enabling WSL in Windows 10. Where you can install Ubuntu and WSL has to enable in the following ways. Okay. But this has nothing to do with audio or Windows. Okay. Maybe I should like search for audio. I'm kind of tempted to just do that. Yeah, I don't know about that now. Enabling sound. The WSL environment does not support audio, but it can be enabled by installing a Pulse audio server on Windows following this guide. You're joking, dude. Here's a tutorial that you can follow, so you can follow this other tutorial. This is why I hate debugging technical issues and configuration problems. I will say that Amethyst doesn't have nearly as many hoops to jump through for this kind of stuff. Well, actually, I don't know about their WSL experience. I shouldn't say that. Yeah. I don't know. WSL might be a different story for Amethyst. Or maybe they don't even have a WSL story. Maybe I should consider myself fortunate that there even is a way to do this. Supposedly. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay, I guess we're downloading this thing. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about this. I guess we're gonna do it. Can you just download, please? No, I don't want sources. Okay, maybe I wanted the zip file. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. For convenience, preview binaries is here. Sure, we'll just save that and try it, I guess. I was hoping I could avoid these issues, but it seems that we're just gonna have to deal with them up front. But at least I'm dealing with them now, and rather than trying to do this during like a game jam or something. Like, God. Yeah, you know, you give the advice like, yeah, you should install your game engine first before you get started, and you know, then a bunch of people just don't do it. You know, it's always a good idea to make sure that you're ready beforehand before you start entering into game jams and stuff. I mean, it kind of goes without saying. I feel, but you know, you'd be surprised. Unzip, unzip, dang it. Okay, I don't know where I was supposed to unzip this, or if I was supposed to unzip this somewhere, but I now, okay, here it is. Unzip the file from step 1 to a folder. Uh-huh. Okay, I guess we're gonna move this out of here to another location. You know what? Let's take everything. We're taking it all with us. Come with me. You're going places. We're gonna make a new folder. We'll just call it I don't know, Pulse Audio. There we go. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about this. Do I have Notepad++? I guess I do. Huh. Okay. Line 42. Okay. Sure. This is so... This feels so sketchy. Like, I don't like it when I'm manually editing files like this as part of like a setup. Okay, please note that for security and privacy concerns, this is for access audio recording devices. You can probably somehow override this feature. This is one here now. It's only disabling from the Pulse Audio server. Okay, and line 61. Are we uncommenting it? We're uncommenting it and we're adding stuff to it. Okay. Auth-ip-acl equals 127.0.0.1. Okay, sounds good. I'll save that. And the Pulse Audio server to accept connections only from localhost. Yeah. Edit centerpulsedaemon.conf. If this goes anywhere, if this goes better than a Kerbo setup typically does, then I'll be happy. Okay, I'll be happy. I'm setting the bar very low. Exit idle time. Line 39. We gotta change it to -1, apparently. And we gotta get rid of this semicolon. I guess semicolons are comments in this conf file. Interesting. Good to know. Well, that's weird. I'm not gonna question it. That's what they want me to do. That's what I'm gonna do. Okay, test run that. When you run pulseaudio.exe, you'll see Windows Firewall where it pop up. Using the loop address, yeah, just cancel. Okay, I get it, I think. Let's try running that. I hope this thing's not too outdated. I don't know what happened. I am scared. Okay, let's try running PowerShell. PowerShell. Alright, come on. Come on, PowerShell. Get going. Get going, get started. Come on. You can do it. Move. I hope I didn't have to do this from my WSL environment. They didn't. I don't think they ever mentioned if like which environment to do it from. So I hope that that didn't have to be from WSL. Okay, what am I doing? I'm going to documents. I'm going to pulse audio. I can't autocomplete. Oh, and I can. Okay, cool. It just takes a little while. It's just a little bit slow. Oh. Alright, we want to run pulseaudio.exe. Where is that? Let's see. How will this go? It's probably gonna error out, isn't it? If it errors out, make sure you change the lines correctly. Oh man. Okay. All right. We're gonna try this. Cancel, it said. Yeah, that seems like what they have as well. Seems good, I guess. Alright. Kill the server. Alright, done. Pulse audio related settings. How many freaking steps are this? Okay, this is the last one. This is the last step. Don't worry. Don't be impatient. Configuration is like this. It's just a natural fact of life. You just deal with it. Okay. You're on to I have literally no clue. I have literally I didn't do this. Okay. I have a feeling I may not have wanted to do this here. I have no idea. Well, that's what I hate when the tutorial goes like, oh yeah, we expected that if you did this other thing, then do this, and then I'm like, well, I didn't do that thing, so I don't know what to do now. Ah. No device. Yeah. Okay. Alright, I don't know if I can get this thing working today. That kind of sucks. I don't really feel like debugging stuff. I already do enough of this during my day, so like not this specifically, but stuff along these lines. I don't feel like doing this right now. And since I don't feel like doing this right now, I'm just gonna say that this was somewhat of a bust. didn't quite work out. I mean, it looks really good, honestly. Like what I'm seeing here looks really cool. I'd love to continue the tutorial. I'm just a big baby, and I don't really feel like doing anything right now. With WSL being the way that it is. That is unfortunate. I might try this again on my main account, the one that I usually record my Rust stuff from, and instead of this recording one, and not use WSL. Why am I even using WSL? I don't even have to use WSL. I'm on Windows. I just I don't know why. I just thought I had to do everything on Ubuntu. What am I doing? I just like I'm literally on Windows. I could literally do all this stuff so much more easily. Why did I decide that I wanted to do this tutorial on Ubuntu? I guess because I've been doing all my other tutorials on Ubuntu, but like, bro, I don't know why I decided to do this. Anyway, well, that was Adventures of Trying Bevy with WSL. Yeah, if you